We're in the Pat Mooney showroom today, and we're going to go over the basic operation of the FMB Pegasus XL, which the operation of this model is going to be very similar to a lot of our other FMB semi-automatic machines. If you're watching this video, you may be in front of a Pegasus going to start it up. Just want to start that this is a shipping bracket that, so if this is still on the machine, this needs to be removed before running the machine. You'd also need to properly install your hydraulic breather cap on the hydraulic unit. There are instructions here. That would need to be done before running the machine in production as well. First thing, once you've got those two things done, is you will turn on your hydraulics, and then this is just a view of your control panel. I pushed the button and the saw head went up. If the hydraulic unit, you don't hear that motor kick on, or the saw head does not go up, you may need to check your phasing because the motor on the hydraulic unit is running backward. That would be on the incoming power to the machine. You would need to have somebody check the phasing. Just to run through your controls, so hydraulic off, hydraulic on. As I just demonstrated, this is saw head up. This is saw head down. Saw clamp. Saw open, that's for your vices. Then you do have, if there's alarms, here's a list of just some very basic alarms. So if I hit the E-stop, reset, that turns your hydraulics back on. This is your saw blade speed. This is your cycle start button here. So this would cycle start. That's going to start the clamps. That closes the clamps. And then it also will activate the saw head going down. This is for your spray down gun. You have a gun for coolant to clean the machine off. So on, off. This would be if the machine was equipped with the laser light for our cut line. And then this is your coolant on, off. And then if the machine had a mist coolant system, that would be for your mist coolant. So that's the basics of the control panel. The vise, you've got your short stroke cylinder, but for any big movements, you loosen the handle and you move it along this rack here. On the back side of the saw head, this does have the saw head will pivot. You have hard stops. So right now we're at our 60 hard stop, or 90, but you do have this. This would be for your 45. And this is for 60. If you go all the way to 60, you just flip your 45 out of the way so it can go all the way to 60 degrees. This is your spray down gun to clean off chips, clean the machine up. When you're going to first fill the machine with coolant, that is done right here. So your coolant, reservoir is below here. Your coolant pump is located right here. But when you're going to fill it with coolant, you don't have to empty anything. You will just dump the coolant right into this graded area right here. You do have a chip brush. There's your chip brush motor. At some point, you'll need to change the chip brush, which is done underneath the back blade cover. So this is your guide arm. So this is to adjust in and out. So you can use this handle here. This unlocks it, and this actually moves it in and out. You want to have your guide block as close as possible to the material, for better keeping your blade more rigid during the cut. But it's an easy adjustment in and out, and then this locks it in place. This is your blade guide. So you loosen this, and it should just, to loosen your blade guide for a blade change. And then you just hand tighten it when you put a blade on to make sure it's snug. And you have one on this side, and you do have another one down on this side as well. To miter the saw, you have a handle here that unlocks the saw head. and that's at your positive stop at 45. You do have this big degree scale here. So if you need to go to any angle that's not 45 and lock it in place, you can find it. And then using the handle down below, lock it at that angle. Yep. But just to show an example of a cycle. So you push the cycle start. The clamp closes. And then using this flow control valve, here you're able to show and adjust how fast the saw head goes down through the cut. And it does have a nice, again, dial scale on it. So you're able to use the numbers to set the proper feed rate. Once the saw head reaches the bottom of the cut, it will it'll go back up and the saw clamps will open. And since it is a PLC controlled machine, it remembers where the saw head was previously. So it raises back to where you left the saw head before you started the cut. So if you're cutting 6-inch pipe and you leave it at 6 3/4, it's a little above the pipe, it'll go back to that 6 3/4 after it finishes the cycle. So to access where the saw blade is, machine should be e-stopped and then powered off. But you have clips that you'll need to open. Then you do have a key switch that'll come out, which if the machine was not already powered off and e-stopped, which it should be, the key switch could kill your control voltage. And you actually have 2 of them that need to be in. There's another one on this backside as well. You do have this little switch which locks that guard in place so you don't have to take it off or hold it up when you're going to do a blade change. If you were going to change a blade, you would need to loosen your tension, which is done over here by turning this handle. And you do have here a blade breakage switch. And there are times when you go to put a new blade on, not all blade weld shops weld blades to a perfect length. So there are times where you may need to adjust where this switch is based on the side of your blade. It's always important to make sure that we have the yellow line here lined up correctly when you bring it. So you bring the blade back to proper tension. This is your indicator for blade tension, not this. This is the blade breakage switch, which sometimes does require some adjustment after a new blade is put on. The manual on the machine, on some models, it will be located in the basement of the machine. In the cabinet right there. Every machine is shipped with a manual, so it'll either be in the basement or on top of the machine when you receive it. If you have any other questions, you can contact Pat Mooney Saws at 630-543-6222.